All right, we're just about to start our virtual launch party for this groundbreaking digital tool, the Liturgia Digital digital translator for Spanish speakers. Jesse Brandau, an OCMC missionary and liturgical translation team member, along with the other team members, will be sharing with us this exciting tool. Just as a reminder for those who are joining us on Zoom, keep in mind that if you shake your mouse, you can see at the top right-hand corner, there's a view button that you can adjust on how you view this, this Zoom meeting. When we have the screen shared and the presentation is being made, the wonderful options that you can choose from are side-by-side speaker and side-by-side gallery, which will allow you to see the speakers who are being spotlight through the call, as well as those who are joining us tonight. And also, please keep in mind to mute your microphones during this event. We'd like to do our best to minimize any interruptions. This is an important time period for our team that we're looking forward to celebrating with you all. So please take a moment to shake your mouse again and find that mute button on the bottom left-hand corner. We will have an opportunity for Q&A at the end of the call, but please feel free to enter in your questions in the chat, and our team will take a look at those and compile them, so then our presenters can address those questions. So without further ado, Jesse Brenda, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and good evening, everyone. Christ is among us. Cristo está entre nosotros, even over Zoom, of course, even more so. Thank you so much. I just want to start off by saying how grateful we are to all of you for taking time out of your evening tonight to join us for this momentous occasion for the Spanish-speaking Orthodox world, and also for our team at OCMC, the Liturgical Translation team. So thank you so much, everyone. For those who might not be familiar with who I am, my name, of course, is Jesse Brando, and I am one of the long-term missionaries of the Orthodox Christian Mission Center. I'm also a member of OCMC's Liturgical Translation team. As Daniel was mentioning to all of you at the beginning, we're going to keep rolling through the call, and at the very end of our event tonight is when we'll have a time for questions and answers. So we're hoping to mark the conclusion of the event at the top of the hour. And then at that point, those who are able to stay on for the Q&A session, we can have a great discussion at the very end. So I'd like to start this wonderful evening together by introducing all of you to the members of my team at OCMC. Even though I live in Central America, specifically in Guatemala, and I work under Metropolitan Athenagoras of Mexico, I also am a member of the Liturgical Translation team at OCMC. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce the whole team to all of you. Our director, Dr. Michael Colburn, and also Father James Hargrave. So our team, we work together, even though we're in different locations. We work together, and we are dedicated to providing tools, resources, and software to help make Orthodox worship accessible in new languages across the world. So this is our wonderful team here, and we will hear more from Dr. Colburn towards the end of the call in the second section of what we'll cover. I've invited him to chant stand websites like the Liturgia Digital website that we are launching today. So I want to start off this evening, this launch party of sorts, this virtual launch event, with a little bit of background information about the website that we are about to launch. So I'm going to share my screen with all of you so that you can see. This isn't the live website yet. That's the main event. But I want to share a few slides you so you can see. Here's a screenshot of the website that we're about to launch together. Liturgia Digital is a special kind of website. It's called a digital chant stand. Some of you might be, as you can see here, is including both the static and variable parts of the services. And it can be viewed on a phone, a tablet, a desktop. And a digital chant stand also sometimes provides musical scores and audio files of hymns. So Liturgia Digital is a digital chant stand for the Spanish-speaking world. And as I mentioned, some of you might be familiar with this term already because of the phenomenal work of Father Seraphim Dides, who is the founder of the Ages Initiative. Many people saw his work for the first time with e-matins, which then became Ages. And then finally, Ages Initiative was acquired by the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. And now many people simply know of it as the digital chant stand. So I believe that the whole Orthodox world owes a debt of gratitude to Father Seraphim Dides for his visionary work. And now you can see here on the screen a new digital chant stand, the Liturgia Digital. And what you're seeing in this first taste of the website is that there are 3 languages present on the Spanish language digital chant stand. There's Spanish on the left-hand column, you can see. In the middle, there's English, and on the right-hand column, there is Greek. We'll go through this, and you'll see that not all of the services appear with the 3 languages. There are options, but the 3 languages are available in the Spanish digital chant stand. This website that we're about to inaugurate in Central America, under the blessing of His Eminence Metropolitan Athenagoras of Mexico and all of Central America. It's an immense metropolis. So, of course, the primary audience for the website is the metropolis of Mexico. It's the people of Central America, and we can even say all of Latin America. That's the primary audience, this mission field where I live and work. However, from the very start, we also have been hoping that this website, the Liturgia Digital, would be useful for people, for Orthodox Christians in North America as well. Many Orthodox parishes in North America are seeking to incorporate at least some Spanish into their services in order to more effectively minister and welcome Latinos in their neighborhoods. So before we really launch into the live demo of the website, I want to emphasize why digital chant stand websites are so important, and especially in mission fields like Latin America. So I want to illustrate this question by asking all of you on this call a simple question. If a member of your parish were to show interest in chanting during the services, someone who has no prior experience or knowledge of the services but would like to learn, what do you think would be the first step that this person should take? I believe that the best advice for a person like this who wants to learn more about participating in the services, chanting, reading the Psalms, I believe that the best advice would be, quite simply, stand close to the chant stand. That's the first step. Like we can see right here, it's very common that any chanter or even in a practice session, like I assume that this is a practice session, many people gather around and they learn from this local leader how to navigate the service texts, the ins and outs of the rubrics in the services, and even one day help to lead those services themselves. This reasonable advice for somebody who would like to learn more, to stand by the chanter, is often difficult or impossible to follow in the mission fields where the Orthodox Church is growing. Why is that? It's because the whole photo that we see here, this whole scene, doesn't always correspond to reality in mission work. If we think of the rural Orthodox churches in Latin America, in Africa, or Asia, these churches at the end of the world that are seeking orthodoxy, there are often key ingredients in this photo that are missing in those parish communities. So first of all, books, liturgical books, where we find the contents of the services. In this photo, we see a well-equipped analogion, the chant stand. However, in the mission field, it can be very difficult to get all the necessary texts to celebrate the services. So the first thing that we're missing in much of the mission field is books. And the second thing that we're missing is a chanter. In this photo, of course, we see that people are actively learning from this local leader. But this kind of experienced leader can also be very difficult to find in mission fields. Sometimes there might be 1 or 2 or 3 people who travel around helping. So the second thing that we're missing in many of the mission fields is simply that local chanter who can guide people through the rubrics and help them understand how to conduct the services. So the website that we are launching today seeks to address these problems specifically for the Spanish-speaking world. For example, here in the highlands of Guatemala, as you can see up above. So I wanted to frame the website's importance in this way so that you can see why the Spanish-speaking world and mission fields across the world need a single centralized website for liturgical service. Powerful. We will see now that the Liturgia Digital provides those 2 key ingredients, both the liturgical texts that people need for worship, the books that are on the chant stand, and the guidance that people need to celebrate the services. And that's what we mean when we say the chanter, the person, or simply the guidance to move through the services. So without further ado, let's launch officially the Liturgia Digital website. All of you are about to be some of the first people to see this website live. So here we go. I hope you all can see that. Is that coming through okay, Daniel and Michael? Looks good?
Yes.
All right. So here you can see the live demo of the website. It's now online. And at the end of the call, I'll share the URL, and I hope that all of you will share it with as many people as possible. But for now, just let me be your guide. So here is officially the Liturgia Digital website. And of course, that means digital liturgy. I want to show you as quickly as possible, being sensitive to time, what is contained in the website. So here on the home page, there's a brief introduction, and it basically has, in more concise way, explained what I've said about this website and it being under the metropolis of Mexico. And if you scroll down, let's say that some of you would like to provide Spanish texts for your parishes or help the chanters in that way. If you scroll down, it's very simple to find the 2 main features of the website. So the 2 main features would be, first of all, the page where you can, I'll translate this into English, where you can see services by date. So I'll show you that page in just a second, but that is where you can go to any date of the year in order to access complete service texts that have the materials and all of the variable parts that you would need already in place for that, where you can see liturgical books. This means texts that do not change based on the date. They're fixed texts. So all the books in the Evangelium, the sacraments of the church, if you want just that text, not customized for a date. So let's check it out. You ready? I'm going to click on Ver Servicios, and you have to forgive me. Sometimes I speak in Spanish and English, and I forget which one I'm speaking here. And so you'll see that I've actually forgotten to translate October to Spanish. That will be fixed probably tomorrow. But everything else, you can see it's in Spanish. And this would be very easy, even for English speakers in the United States, to navigate. You can very easily tell where you need to go for any date in October. And November is already available as well. And this will keep updating so that for any date in the future, you'll be able to access the service texts. So let's check out October 1st, Sunday. When we go here, let me just increase the size a little bit for you. When we go here, you'll see that the website has services available in the 3 languages, and you can pick the configuration. If you want just Spanish, that's fine. If you want to combine it with Greek or with English, you can do so. Or you can get a trilingual text if you really want to, go all in. And for every language configuration, you can access that service in either a PDF version, a format, or you can simply access. So I'll show that to you. Let me make this smaller again. First of all, I just want to show you the PDF. Let's do Spanish and English right here. So we'll do the PDF and just give it 1 sec. Here we go. So it's a little bit big, but there you can see October 1st, the Divine Liturgy of St. John Chrysostom, Spanish on the left, English on the right. And we'll look more at this, but I want to show it to you on the website's platform. So the PDF is if you'd like to print it out, but if you want to use your device to see it, let's check that out. Text online is what this says. So if we go here, it's quite large right now. There we go. So once again, you see the same thing, but in this simple low bandwidth format that will be accessible even in Latin America on cell phones that have slow connections. You can see the whole service text in Spanish and in English. And up here on the left-hand side, if you want to increase or decrease the size, you can do so. So again, to be sensitive to time, I'm going to go a little quickly, but I just want to show you that if we go all the way down here to the little entrance and the hymns after the little entrance, you can see hymns after the small entrance. You can see that this is October 1st, and the hymns are already there. So if we think back on our example of the chant stand, if we don't have the chanter and we don't have the books, here we have the books, we have the materials that people need to sing it, and it's programmed into the site. So people can just look at the service text in English and of course in Spanish. And if you go through, there's for St. Ananias, St. Romanos. And if we keep going, you'll see that this also, of course, includes the epistle reading. For this day, it would come from 2 Corinthians and the gospel reading. So it's all there. All right, let me go back. And I just want to show you the website's main menu so that you can see again all of the features. I already told you about the service section, that's by date, and the books section. Let me just show you. The books section, again, is where we have fixed texts. And eventually this section will be a very extensive library of service texts. At the present moment, this is somewhat limited because I'm working with colleagues in the metropolis of Mexico, and they're still reviewing and editing the Epicologian texts. But we already have baptism ready, and very soon we'll have the marriage service here as well. And then I'll continue to work with them as they revise the text. They'll be added as quickly as possible. But the same thing, when you access this, you can get the PDF in the different languages, or you can look online at the baptism service in all the different language configurations. So as I said, that will continue to expand. And one really wonderful feature of this website is there's a search engine available in this. This is actually new for digital chant stand websites. It's very powerful. So you'll see here that a search engine is going to appear. And this will allow you to explore and study Greek or English. Let's do Spanish. And you can apostol. Let's check it out. Apostol. So let's search. Hey, check it out. How many results do we have? 49. I'm not surprised at all. So here, what we see is that it's going to show us exactly, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but there's a database underneath this, and it's searching the database to see exactly which entries in the database include that word. And it will tell you. Here we have, it appears for the Feast of St. Matthew right here. And it will tell you, you can look more at exactly what the text and the database entry are. But the most interesting thing, I think, is you can look at the text and then you can see what service it comes from. So here, from baptism, or over here, you can see this is from the liturgy of the 14th of November for Philip, St. Philip. And then, of course, if you want to fine grain this, you can do that as well. You can select that you want it to match. This is case sensitive. So if we do that, we'll see, okay, only 8 were found because it was taking into account the capital A. And then if we want to do whole word entries, we can also do that as well and research. And then we got just 1. I think this one's from baptism. Yeah, so we have just 1 entry. So I'll leave it there, but you can play around with this. It's a lot of fun. You can go through Greek, English, Spanish, make sure to select it first. So that's the website. And I encourage all of you, I hope you can explore it more. And at the present time, being sensitive to time, I want to move on to the second topic tonight. Let me just add one quick note here. Currently, you might have noticed that the audio recordings on the website are, let me stop sharing here, I'm sorry. There we go. You can see my smile. You might have noticed that on the website, the musical resources that are included right now are in English and Greek. I am thinking of the website, it's a process. It takes a while to add everything. And currently we focused on the Divine Liturgy texts for every day of the year, making sure they're complete with all of the texts. But we could say version 2, or simply in the coming year and in following years, we're going to add more resources. And one of the big goals is to add those audio recordings, at least for the most commonly sung hymns in the Divine Liturgy. And then we'll continue to add to it. But for now, you can get all of the texts for the Divine Liturgy for every day of the year. So now I want to move on to the second topic tonight, which is a little bit about the tools and resources that are needed to produce a digital chant stand website like Liturgia Digital. It took me about 1.5 years to prepare this website for launch. But if I had done this all by myself without the team members that I've worked with, it would have taken decades. And that's because the tools and software that I've used to create Liturgia Digital are the fruit of other people's efforts and dreams going back for decades. So with that said, I want to invite my dear director and brother in Christ, Dr. Michael Colburn, to take it from here and share a little bit more with us about that.
Hello, everyone. Try that again. I launched it and it stopped on me. Okay. You see a slide that says 2 visions merge into a combined effort. Okay. Well, this is my vision and the vision of Father Seraphim combined. In 2011, Father Seraphim Dides and I established an informal partnership to bring together 2 visions. My vision for developing tools for translators of the liturgical text, like those I used as a Bible translator in Papua New Guinea. And Father Seraphim's vision of replacing the hard copy liturgical books at the chant stand with a digital version, which he called a digital chant stand. And for years, starting in 2001, he created a precursor, which he called e-matins, which he spent 3 weeks each month preparing PDFs for matin services only for the next month using MS Word. And he began dreaming of the possibility of reducing the workload by software that automatically auto-generates ecclesiastical services. And that's what AGES means. You've probably heard of that before. His vision to generate an entire DCS website requires 3 major components. First, it requires software, which I developed. And the first generation software was called AGES Liturgical Workbench, or ALWB. In addition to software, the second required component is a digital version of the Greek source text and its translations into English, and something that we call templates. And I'm going to let Father Seraphim explain what templates are and how they're used.
Thank you, Michael. So templates are basically the rubrics of a service for a particular day, decoded from the Greek typicon books, and then encoded into computer language, as the computer language that Michael created especially for this, and it's his genius that made this possible, that will then order the texts and format them and put them into a website and deploy the website, so that all happens through the ALWB. So the templates specifically are the code of a given service that tells the program what to display for any given day, for any particular service. Michael.
Great. Thank you, Father Seraphim. So in 2014, the Ages website went live. That's almost 10 years ago. And the next year, I started work on the tools that I'd envisioned for translators of the liturgical text, which is the second generation software called the Online Liturgical Workstation. And it has been accessed by people in around 23 countries. In 2021, GOA acquired the operations and personnel of Ages. And the relationship, though, between OCMC and Father Seraphim has continued. For the past 3 years, I've been working on Voxa, the third generation liturgical software, which combines the features of ALWB and OLW into a single program that runs on the desktop or in the cloud. And version 1.0 will provide the capability, or does, I should say, to generate a digital chant stand. And God willing, it will be ready for beta testing early this next year. However, it's far enough along that Jesse's already using it to generate the Spanish digital chant stand. So Jesse uses the templates created by Father Seraphim, and he's added a few more to meet the needs of the Greek metropolis of Mexico. Jesse also relies on the Greek text and English translations as developed by Father Seraphim for the Ages DCS. Jesse has added the Spanish translation of the prayers and the hymns and the rubrics. The templates are also reusable for any language that has been entered into the database and can produce bilingual or trilingual services and books. For example, for East Africa, English and Swahili, French and Swahili, Kikuyu and Swahili. And next week, God willing, Father James Hargrave and my wife Lisa and I are traveling to Kenya to discuss the possibility of developing a digital chant stand for East Africa. I want to make it something clear to you. These templates and the text are being reused for all these different languages. You don't have to redevelop them for each of the new languages. You just have to enter the translations into the database. Voxa can also be used to generate liturgical books and services in Asian languages, such as Korean. In the future, Voxa will do more than just generate a digital chant stand. And if you look down here, I'm listing features that are going to be in Voxa. The vision is that it will provide software for all the process of a translation project and managing it. Future releases of Voxa will add translation tools and workflow management. In fact, the generation of a digital chant stand, that's right here, number 14, is just one component of the entire process and tool suite envisioned and being worked on in Voxa by the three of us who are the OCMC Liturgical Translation Program team. And we ask you to pray that God will provide adequate funding for the vision we have to provide tools for translators and publishers of the liturgical text, and that he will raise up more people to join our team. And especially we need software developers to be a part of the open source liturgical software development and maintenance. And as always, we're grateful to Father Seraphim Dides for providing OCMC and Voxa users with over 6,000 templates and a database of the Greek source text and English translations. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jesse.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I want to reiterate again the sense of gratitude that we all have for Father Seraphim, also for you, Dr. Michael, for all the work you've put into this, to our Lord for making this possible. And I also want to take a moment to thank all of you on this call and everyone who supports Orthodox missions worldwide. All of this is possible through your prayers and through your support. And we need to draw to a close because of the time. But as I said, we're going to stay on for those who can to have a Q&A session. But I want to conclude on that same note of gratitude. We have two things. We're going to give away 2 Spanish language icons, and then we're going to share officially the URL and ask all of you to share it widely with others as well. So the icon giveaway, as I mentioned, is a way of expressing gratitude. All of you have supported missions, you pray for missions, and some of you, I imagine, also specifically are supporters for people on our liturgical translation team. And we're so grateful for all that you have done and continue to do to make our work possible, and specifically to make this website, to bring this website into existence. So I'm just going to share with you right here the icon that we're giving away. This is a Spanish language, it's visible, right? This is a Spanish language icon of Christ, the words of the gospel. Here, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, is written in Spanish, and Creator, of course, with the little accent mark. We have one of our missionary colleagues also on the call behind the scenes doing the drawing right now. So Lisa, thank you so much for doing the drawing. Let's have a drum roll to hear the winners of this icon, these two icons that we're going to be giving away. A little bit of a drum roll. The first winner is Maria Garcia. Thank you, Maria Garcia, for joining the call. Maria, if you're on the call, could you just say hi or maybe send a message in the chat, because we base this off of the attendance list. We're not sure who all is on the call. So Maria Garcia, if you're on the call, just go ahead and send a message in the chat or let us know. And while you're doing that, Maria, we're going to announce the second winner. Another drum roll. The second winner is Abigail Hatch. So thank you, Maria and Abigail. Please let us know if you're on the call. And if not, we have a few other folks who would come after you as winners of the icons. So, but we'll get in touch with you afterwards. So thank you all once again. And then finally, to conclude our event, I want to share with you the URL for the website. Please, everyone, visit Liturgia Digital at, quite simply, liturgia.mx. It is a product of the metropolis of Mexico. That's why it's .mx. And Liturgia, or if it's easier to say, Liturgia, please visit the website and share this as widely as possible with other people to help the Spanish-speaking Orthodox world grow and be fortified in Christ. All right, with that being said, anybody who has to get off the call, I want to thank you again. And we will hop into the Q&A session. We also, during the Q&A, we have a video that we'd like to share with all of you of testimonies from people sharing about, so sorry for all the noise here. I really am in Guatemala. It's not just not just pretending to be here. If you hear a lot of noise, that's life here. We are going to share so we're going to start the Q&A session right here. We're going to go through some of the questions that have been submitted. And at the very finale of the Q&A, we will share a beautiful video of 4 people sharing why they're excited about this Spanish digital chant stand. So let's kick off the Q&A session. Daniel, could you be the MC for this and let us know of the questions that have come in what order we should address them?
Sure. So far, we just had a few, but if anyone who has a question is on the call and you did not submit your question in the chat, please raise your hand. You can, I'm trying to remember how to do it. It's been a while. When I remember on how you can raise your hand in a Zoom call, I'll put it in the chat, but feel free to do that, or you can unmute your mic and we'll go through the back and forth, figuring out who's talking and then go from there. But our first question We have two questions. The first one is, are there musical settings in Spanish for any hymns yet? And this is a question submitted by Irene.
Thanks, Irene. So I did mention briefly, we were trying to be sensitive to people's time, so I didn't go too much into this. But I mentioned briefly that currently for 2023, the website has musical recordings only in English and Greek. And in Spanish, it's just the texts. However, this is one of our top priorities for the next year. And I want to elaborate on this. So I do have recordings of many hymns in Spanish that I could share, and I do share with some people individually when they ask me. But I think it's very important on a website like this that is for the metropolis of Mexico as a whole, and even more than that. I mean, that's why we're sharing this website with people in North America. We want it to be useful worldwide. I think it's very important for us to take the necessary time to review the recordings that we have, to speak with the Metropolitan here. And also, I'm part of a team not only of OCMC, but also in the metropolis of Mexico, colleagues here in my mission field. And we're working together to ensure that everything is in order for this website. So in short, very soon we will start to add these musical settings, but we have to be careful about this. And I'm not just going to throw on the website what I already have, but stay tuned. And we plan to start adding first audio recordings, and then as we're able to produce them, actual musical settings for the most commonly sung hymns. So it is a long process. And let me just add one more note. If you are interested, I'm planning to keep people who are regular users of this website up to date. So I actually have a newsletter about when features are added, and this is going to be a multi-year process. It will take time. So if you are interested in that, you can, of course, visit liturgia.mx, and you'll find the link there to sign up for the newsletter so you can hear when things like the audio recordings are available. Daniel, I think you're muted.
Happens to me at work. This should happen to me here as well. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't miss too much. My connection kicked me out and now I'm back. But the second question that I have was submitted by, one moment, buddy, from Samantha. And this question is, how can we support this amazing effort?
Dr. Colburn, would you like to take this question as the director of our liturgical translation team?
My wife is shouting in the other room, pray, pray, pray. Yes, absolutely. We need lots of prayer. And as I said, we need more people working with us. There are many tools that we're planning to develop, and some of them we've developed and tested. One of the questions I saw a minute ago is, what are we doing for the Orthodox Church in Alaska? And in fact, I was up there a couple of years ago, just before COVID, testing one of the resources that we're working on, which are translators' handbooks. And we were testing it with the Yupik speakers there. And I also showed them the capabilities of producing a digital chant stand. I've talked to quite a few people, and we're willing to assist anybody anywhere that would like to put one up. Finances, of course, the team members need financial support. Father James Hargrave is only part-time right now. We'd love to see him to be full-time. Jesse and I are full-time, and we really need Father James to get his support up to be full-time also. So pray for us, for people, and for funding. Thank you.
And let me just add real quick, piggybacking off of you, Dr. Colburn, if you, in order to find specific missionaries like our colleague, Father James Hargrave, you can go to ocmc.org, and at the very top, look at the missionaries tab. You'll see it. I think it's how we, I'm so sorry. Let me just find this real quick so that people can know specifically how to support. If you go to ocmc.org, you'll see how we serve, If you click on that, you'll see missionaries, and that will allow you to find Father James Hargrave to support him and other missionaries as well.
Father Seraphim.
Yeah, if I may just add, of course, I am an employee of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America now for the last 2 years. So funding is not the issue for me, but what Michael said about programmers, and I've, alerted the Archdiocese that we do need to have redundancies. And while Jesse is young and healthy and hopefully has many years in front of him, Michael and I are, on the other end of the spectrum, and there can't just be one of us in each field that knows how to do. Currently, maybe Jesse knows how to do a DCS, and I know how to do a DCS, and Michael knows how to make the program. But that's it. If something, I tell the Archdiocese, if something should happen to me, we're done, unless you provide something that we can start, creating redundancies. So that's another way to support is becoming interested, if you're a programmer, in including this in your portfolio of languages, of computer languages that you know and how to do stuff.
Yeah, utilize your talents and offer it to the church in this capacity. Yeah. We have 2 more questions, and everyone please feel free to enter your questions in the chat, or like Father Seraphim, raise your hand. He found out how to do that. I'm still looking to find that out.
It's the reactions button, Daniel, the reactions.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of options down on the host key end. So thank you very much for that. So I'll take a look at that. But we have a question from Alejandro. His question is, how are you going to assess the impact that this resource will have on the parishes that receive Latinos in the United States?
Thank you so much for your question, Alejandro. It's great to hear from you. So this is an excellent question. I think I could expand this too to, in general, how will we assess the impact of this resource for all of the Spanish-speaking world? And hey, Alejandro. This is something that we have in progress. The first step that we've taken is, of course, we're using some analytics tools, Google Analytics on the website, so that we can analyze the traffic to the website, how many visitors we're going to have, how, if this grows, how much it's growing. God willing, it will grow a lot, we hope. And then as long as people aren't too good with using blockers, we should be able to tell where the traffic is coming from, even perhaps down to the regions. So not just that there is traffic from the United States, but hopefully we'll be able to see the specific states, and even perhaps, I don't know, I can't remember how specific the data is, but hopefully we'll be able to get a sense of where the concentrations are of people who are using this. Then we can follow up, we can get a sense of why that might be, and hopefully that will complement our other tools, like, as I mentioned, there's a way that people can subscribe on liturgia.mx to newsletters. So hopefully, if people do subscribe, I'll get a sense of who some of these people are. We can follow up and slowly grow in that way to get a sense of where the impact is greatest. And of course, how we might be able to take that into account for future features and development of the site. That's a great question.
I see there's some software questions there. One of them is, what are the languages used for development of this app? We're talking about Doxa now. It is coded in the Go programming language. For the front end, of course, well, it's a web browser front end, which implies then JavaScript and, of course, HTML. But Go is the main language that's being used. And how can a software developer become involved in this project? Well, contact me. My email is on the OCMC website. If you go there, click into how we serve and find missionaries. Our team is, except for Jesse, we're down towards the bottom. You can find me there and send me an email and we can talk about it. What I'm looking for is people who can devote a fair amount of time, let's say at least 8 hours a week consistently, because it's a lot of work to educate people on the architecture and bring them up to speed. And at this point, we really need some people that have time to spend consistently to do that. But we'd love to have people helping with the coding and the maintenance.
Thank you, Michael, for answering those questions. We had a question from Laura Paulus, and she also raised her hand. Laura, is this the same question in the chat?
It is indeed.
Would you like to ask the question yourself?
Well, sure. And actually, it's a question either for Jesse, possibly for Father Seraphim. I'm wondering if you could tell us just a little bit about the challenges of translating verse as opposed to just prose, and trying to preserve chantability and meaning.
Father Seraphim, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So over the years, I'm 63 now. I probably started translating when I was 18, 19. But anyway, currently I read a hymn in Greek. I try to make it conceptual instead of words, and then I try to say it again in the target language as close, almost exactly sometimes, as close to possible as the original Greek. But I approach translation of liturgical texts as my job as a poet translator to produce usable, appropriate liturgical texts for use in church, whether that's exactly what the Greek text is or not. I mean, I'm trying to get into the, not just the mind of the poet, but to become, to do what the poet did. He produced in a particular, whether it's a meter or whatever it is, something that a hymn to the Theotokos that says this, but that's how I do it. So I conceptualize it. Sometimes, you can work word for word or whatever. There's different approaches, but the idea is to restate the hymn, in a particular, and in the target language, and in a particular meter, if that's the case. I mean, you can write poetry, any poetry. So let's write a poem to the Theotokos. Oh, it has to have this concept, and I'm a sinner, and have mercy on me, all blessed. And if you can get it all in, in the right meter, yay, and usually you can. So with God's grace. I don't know if that answers your question. Maybe it's just all a miracle, and it's like nothing of what I do, just kind of put my fingers on the keys and it just happens. I don't know.
No, it does. It's been a question. We all appreciate your work translating from Greek into English. So this is now a remarkable, transformation up into new languages. So thank you for enlightening us a little.
And just so you'll know, I don't make up words anymore. I used to make up words. I don't do that anymore.
I see a question from Sebastian. Is it possible? Sorry, Jesse.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind if I just make a quick comment on that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Laura, it's also great to see you. I just wanted to mention really quickly that when we speak about the liturgical translation team and the tools and resources that are offered, I just wanted to mention really quickly that Dr. Colburn and Father James especially have experience in many of the principles of Bible translation. And part of the goal of the team is to apply these really well-developed approaches to Bible translation to the liturgy and to the hymns. And so one of the projects that the team has is to bring that together with the hymns. And we often think a lot about how to do that, especially with metered hymns. And so we hope in the coming year and in the future to have some projects that would create new translations into other languages, but we're trying to be really careful to take into account the metering of some of these hymns. So I just want to share with you that this is something that we talk about a lot as a team, and it's one of the resources that is offered to these skills in the translation process. Go ahead.
So Sebastian asked, is it possible for programmers to further expand this project even if they don't speak in Spanish at all? And just to clarify, Voxa, the software, you don't need to know Spanish. You need to know the Go programming language and JavaScript. However, there are things that people can do even if they don't speak Spanish. For example, it may be the case that there are additional templates to be built. I'm not sure, what the use cases would be, but Jesse might have some things in mind that are appropriate. Where building templates, you don't have to know the language of the service or book that's going to be generated. So that is something that someone can learn to do, even if you aren't a computer programmer, but it does help to think logically and to be able to analyze in order to create these reusable templates. If I didn't answer your question well enough, Sebastian, let me know.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Please, more questions, please throw them at us. And while we're waiting to see if anybody else has any questions, I wanted to follow up briefly one more time on the question of audio recordings. I love taking a pan-Orthodox approach to everything. I think we have to do that as a church as much as possible while being sensitive and discerning. But in that light, I wanted to share with everyone that the Antiochians in Latin America have many resources of their own. So the website that we've developed here is through the Greek Orthodox Metropolis of Mexico. But the Antiochian Archdiocese of Mexico also has a lot of recordings, including audio. I'm sorry, a lot of materials, including audio recordings that are available on YouTube, if you'd like to check those out. My hope, this is a little bit above my pay grade, but my hope is that resources like this, Liturgia Digital, liturgia.mx, the website that we're launching today, my hope is that this might catch the attention of other hierarchs in Latin America and hopefully play a small part in promoting sharing resources. It'd be wonderful if we can have a single Spanish digital chant stand that could draw from different jurisdictions across Latin America. That's complicated, but I really hope we can do that. So in that vein, I want to share with all of you that if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can always check out the Antiochians in Mexico are at iglesiaortodoxa.org.mx if you'd like to check that out. They have some audio recordings as well. And hopefully, as I said, you'll be able to access those on our web, our similar recordings on our website soon too.
Father Seraphim, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to the previous topic of the translation and something that when Michael said that we had an informal agreement, basically it was, I'll do yours if you do mine. And he did mine like, to 100 and, a million%. And eventually it'll be my turn to do hit for him. And that will be the annotation of the hymns to create the tools for these hymns, liturgical text to be translated into other language to give someone, translating into Spanish or Korean or whatever. And I think the Doxa software the suite will include the platform to add notes. So just very quickly, if you had a hymn and it's got it's based on 3 Bible verses, we would say, this is clearly from Isaiah, this is clearly St. Paul, and this is clearly from the gospel. And we would give the citations down. Then there's a translation of just what it says, maybe 3 or 4 translations that people have done. My translation, for example, and maybe a note why I translated it this way, how I understood it. And then the person who may not know Greek as well as they do English can come to this resource, to translate their hymn, and they can say the Greek, but they can read everybody's notes and whatever, find their Bible verses, and that's the ingredients to the basic ingredients for a hymn. So that is a work that there's plenty of people can do. You don't even have to be a translator to do much of that work. We need a lot of people to help annotate and tag and fill that sort of encyclopedia of knowledge.
Dr. Colburn? I just wanted to mention there's a comment that I think might be pertinent to you from Christina Mijas. She asks, have you thought of creating internship opportunities for high schoolers or college students? And I believe that Christina is speaking specifically to coding and to being able to help with the tools of the liturgical.
Yes.
Yes.
Getting a lot of feedback. Okay.
Christina, I
Well,
muted
first
your mic.
of all,
I muted your mic, Christina, because we're getting the feedback from you. So if you'd like to speak, we'll wait until Dr. Michael is finished, and then you can go ahead and unmute your mic. Thank you.
yes, we've thought of this. And in fact, we had a seminary student work with us over the summer. And there are many kinds of projects that need to be done. Some of them require basic computer skills, for example, but most of them are highly technical. And so it really does depend on the skills of the individual. And yes, in an ideal world, I wish we could spend the time to, say, take on a high school student who wants to do programming and mentor them. The issue that we face right now is there's only 3 of us on the team, and I'm the only programmer. And we have at least a year or 2 more to go to get done with the coding of all the features I'm envisioning for the software. And unfortunately, I can't take the time to mentor a programmer. But otherwise, it's a great idea. But there are some tasks that could be done even by a high schooler. And it would be a great opportunity if we could have them work with us. And I'm sure it would be beneficial to them as an experience.
So Christina, go ahead if you'd like to reply as well. You're more than welcome to unmute your mic. All right. I just want to make sure we haven't missed any questions. Did we answer the question from Michael about how can a software developer become involved in this project? I think so. Okay. All right. So saw another question. This one is from Samantha. Are there links in the DCS app or website to this new site? And Jesse, you are on mute.
Father Seraphim, I'm not sure about this. I, as the manager of the GOA's Digital Chance Hand project, do you have any thoughts on that? I'm sure there might be some process that we need to go through jurisdictionally, in terms of the metropolis, since it's a different archdiocese. But do you have any thoughts on that?
So there is a setting in the iPad iPhone app to change the server and to change the website. So I imagine that it wouldn't be too difficult to put your URL, or your server into the iPad app, and it would serve your material, except that you would have to get in touch with Bruce to see what the developer of the app, because it requires another JSON file or something. I don't know if that's being whatever. But the app is free and it's quite flexible. It would just, you could ask. Now there's the Android app, which is only a PewBook app. I don't know how flexible that is. That also may just have a server thing in there and you could put it in.
And I wasn't sure if the question was speaking towards the app or to the website, to dcs.goa.org. I wasn't sure. But I think that what you shared would probably be the best way to approach it, would be to look into including the Spanish in the app itself.
Yeah, it wouldn't be including the Spanish. It would be channeling the Spanish, through the app. It's just a shell, yeah.
So yes, thank you for that question. So to be continued, Samantha. So I just want to to mention that I think, just to be sensitive with the time here of people on different time zones and stuff, but I know it's late for the East Coast listeners. I just wanted to mention, maybe we'll take one more question, I guess, and then we're going to close with sharing the video that I had mentioned with some testimonies of the importance of the Spanish digital chant stand. Before we see if there's any final question, I just wanted to mention one private comment that came up asked me if the website's live, and I just wanted to clarify if some people are confused. The URL for the website is simply liturgia.mx. So the website is called Liturgia Digital, but the actual address for the website is simply liturgia.mx. So if you were confused, you could try that out. Liturgia or Liturgia, it's a G in there, or liturgia.mx will get you the website.
And I went ahead and included that link into the chat, so it's available there. And Jesse, did we have an update for the icons? Because one of our winners
just to let everyone know, Maria wasn't on the call, which was we had already agreed amongst ourselves that we would give out the icons to people who came on the call, just so it's part of the giveaway. And so we have a third place winner who will receive the icon, and that is Tim Wanger. So congratulations also, Tim. We'll be in touch with you and with Abigail to send those icons. All right. So thank you once again, one and all, for joining the call. And to finish off the call this evening, Dr. Colburn is going to share his screen with a video, very short. It's I think 4 minutes or less, that shares some very brief words from people in North America who are looking forward to the site and who see value in liturgia.mx. So we'll hear from that.
Hello, my name is Father Hector Ferraglanis at the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where 40% of the population in our city identifies as Hispanic. We're very excited for the program that Jesse has completed with the OCMC to help us introduce more Spanish into our services. We currently have 2 catechumens in our church who come from Spanish-speaking backgrounds, and each of them have said that if we had a little more Spanish in our services, that their parents and other family members would feel more comfortable coming to our church. So we're very excited as we continue to use the digital chant stand to work some Spanish into our services to help our Spanish-speaking neighbors feel more comfortable coming to our church.
My husband and I live in a neighborhood where we have a lot of neighbors who are from Latin America, from Mexico, from Guatemala, and from other parts of Central America. We have invited some of these people to our services, and we've seen their reaction when they hear just a few prayers in Spanish. It makes them feel appreciated and included. I would like to see more of this in North America, and I think it's so important to have the resources to be able to do that, like this on the digital chant stand.
My husband and I worked for 4 years in Guatemala as OCMC missionaries, and one of my responsibilities was to teach the choir members at the local cathedral. They were really talented and quickly learned the hymns that I taught them. However, one of the uncertainties that they always faced was how to pull together the different hymns required in each liturgy. So we would put together sort of like a rubric each week, saying what tone we were singing, the different hymns, and the variable parts of the liturgy. But even to this day, I get texts from some of the women asking me, what tone are we singing this week? Or it's a feast day and they're wondering what are the changes of the liturgy. So it makes me, it'll be a huge help for them to be able to consult a single website to get all of these answers in Spanish. And it will especially be helpful for the clergy, the seminarians, and God willing, Spanish ministries around the world.
The Orthodox Church is growing by leaps and bounds in the global South. It's truly an exciting time to see the mission of the church develop in this part of the world. However, in this part of the world, it isn't always feasible for liturgical books or individual copies of the services to be printed out or in hard copy form for the faithful to partake of the services. And so, into this context, something like the Liturgia Digital website will provide an easily accessible electronic format by which the clergy and the faithful of the parishes in Latin America can pray the services of the church as they grow their missions to the glory of God.
But once again, I want to thank everybody for being a part of this call. And I want to thank, again, everyone at OCMC, the home office, and in St. Augustine, Florida, everyone who supports missions across the world. And I want to thank Metropolitan Athenagoras of Mexico for making this website possible. And lastly, we thank God for his grace and mercy upon all of us. So glory to God, and we wish all of you a wonderful evening. Thank you again.
Thanks, Jesse, Father Michael, and Michael and Lisa and Father Seraphim. Bye.
Take care. Wonderful to see everyone. Take care. God bless. Adios, adios, adios.
Adios.
And if anyone had one more question that they'd like to share or ask Jesse, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, this is the VIP lounge now.
Yeah, this is where the real party starts. And I should probably stop the live record.
All right.
There we go.